Hey there, class. Today, I will break down the theme of silence, untold stories, and lack of human connection, and how it has negatively affected the characters and those around them. Silence, untold stories, and a lack of human connection can often lead to feelings of guilt, identity confusion, and emptiness. The two main characters that I will focus on today are Vita Winters, a woman shrouded in mystery who has not told the truth about her in her lifetime, and Margaret Lee. I will reference five moments in the book with five article quotes to support my claim on how the theme of silence, untold stories, and a lack of human connection connect to the plot and characters. The first moment that I'll reference from the story is when Margaret is questioning Vita about why the famous author lies so much during public interviews. Vita tells Margaret that the reason she lies so much is because it's more comforting to her than telling the truth. However, this comes with the consequences. The constant lies and burying of the truth creates self identity confusion for Vita. Because of the number of facades she has to constantly keep up, it confuses her and also pushes away others who could have helped her. This isolates her, which later in the story we can see that the consequences of that happening. A quote I can connect this to is goes like this: when we lie, we oppose ourselves, for we assert what we disbelieve, creating a kind of self-alienation that is at odds with personal integrity. I can connect this to the moment because we can clearly see that Vita Winters struggles to find out who she is because of the countless lies that she has told. The second moment I'll reference from the book is when Margaret finds out that she has a twin, but her other self had passed away. She was questioning herself about who she was as a person. Margaret continued to struggle with this dilemma throughout the book. Margaret's parents hid this fact away from her. If Margaret's parents had been honest about what happened to her twin, she wouldn't have struggled with this self doubt or confusion about her identity. This is a clear example of how the lack of human communication and connection can create misunderstandings. A quote that I relate to this goes like this: personal truths about one's past are essential to the formation of a coherent identity. Without them, individuals struggle to understand who they are in relation to others and to their own history. Because Margaret never knew all the facts about her, she was unable to find out who she was as a person. If Margaret's parents had come clean about what happened to her twin, she would have not faced this issue. This is a clear example of why human communication and connection is so important. My third moment is during one of the interviewing sessions between Margaret and Vita. Margaret asks Vita Winters about some of the mistakes that she committed during her lifetime, and Vita Winters responds by telling her that one of her biggest mistakes was not telling others the truth. What she did was instead bury them, and they grew to haunt her. The quote that I relate this to goes like this: indigenous stored memory can be thought of as a bone needle, a useful tool for sewing, mending, and bringing indigenous storytellers, and listeners together for meaningful engagement. This quote relates well to the moment in the story because the article teaches us about the power of storytelling and what Winters missed out on by not telling her stories. By not telling her stories, she isolated herself, and her past continued to haunt her, as it says in the moment in the story. The fourth moment that I chose to talk about is found during another interview session between Margaret and Vita. Margaret is clearly troubled with her identity crisis, stemming from the loss of her twin. But instead of opening up about it, she keeps it to herself, even when asked by Vita if anything is troubling her. And a quote that I found that relates to this goes like this: when mental health conditions like anxiety and depression are left unaddressed, they can lead to severe consequences, even including suicide. I think this quote from the article on keeping mental health issues to themselves relates very well to the story. Margaret continues to suffer in silence after not opening up about her problems, which proves the article quote correct. Silence can be incredibly dangerous to people, and we can clearly see that in Margaret's situation here. The fifth and final moment I chose is when, after Vita Winters passed away, she wrote a final letter to Margaret, informing her of how she felt when she was telling her life story to Margaret. Due to a lifetime of silence and isolation, delight, which was the familiar one, When she finally told her story to Margaret, a different light, she felt very aggravated and troubled. A quote that I found that is relatable to this goes like this. However, going out into the dark or returning to places less known takes more effort and courage. This brings me back to the notion of memory and its place in storytelling. I can relate the moment to the quote because due to Vita being isolated in the dark so long, she struggles to tell others about herself. The quote also states that to break a tradition of silence takes a lot of courage, and that's why Vita Winters struggled a lifetime to finally tell her real story to Margaret. Throughout the novel, we see the theme of silence, untold stories, and a lack of human connection appear over and over again to oppress the characters and their identities. Only when the silence is broken, the stories are told, and the human connections are healed, can we see the characters heal from the trauma they endured. This is my 5-minute breakdown for the theme.